23 edition. Drake and Belmont teeing it up for the third time this season. And you think about the regular season. A little bit of time. And for Belmont, they had to adjust. Judy Jones, one of the glue players on this team, also lost the season right about the same time the season got underway.
Yep, players got 8 games in this season, and we're going to provide a significant role on their respective teams. And it took some time for both of these squads to figure out how are they going to adjust, what roles are they going to have, who's going to fill in, where's going to be the rotation, those kinds of times to figure out those pieces of who is going to be where. And he feels like they're playing a much better system now than what they were playing on in the season.
First foul of the
tournament, or played each other in non-conference to ratings, and they were really good matchups. And you can see, you know, both of the teams about in the 70s on the offense.
Take a look at today's starting lineups for the Cajun Brunel Mutual Insurance.
She's back into the starting 16. She's back in starter.
Maggie Bair has had a huge tournament, and it continues as we look at the start 5 for the Bulldogs. You and I were discussing this yesterday, semifinal Saturday in the Valley. Guard here in the plot. Belmont Bruins rolling into the championship game of the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament 16 straight wins after their victory yesterday, Laura Leonard, against the Northern Iowa Panthers.
Now, we kind of alluded to it. Once they figured out their lineup and who they wanted in that starting lineup, they got Madison Bartley back in as a starter. They've gone 16-0, and during that run, Bartley is averaging 18 points a game, 5 rebounds.
Drake right now on a 4-0 run. A couple of trends to watch right now, at least early on. 8 of the 10 points scored for Drake have come in the paint. We just showed you the highlights of three-point shooting yesterday.
Well, that tells you that Drake has pretty good balance, that they can shoot it from the outside, they can get it on the inside. They really met up in early January. Bulldogs shot 38 threes in that game, connected on 14 of them. And so that just tells you, I think Drake, looked at the scouting report. They figured, okay, this is our best way to beat Belmont. We're going to shoot the 3, and you're getting a look at it, the two games between Drake and Belmont. So Bulldogs were able to get 19 offensive rebounds in that second game. So they kind of established the game in the paint in the middle, got 31 second chance points off those offensive rebounds. So Bulldogs can throw it at you a couple of different ways.
Maggie Bair already has 6 points in the opening quarter. Oh, good defense by the Bulldogs.
You always have to be aware when you go inside, and we saw Wells the other day go inside, avoid contact, avoid the shot blockers, be able to give a little ball fake, get Bair, get Miller up in the air, get Berg up in the air, and try to draw some contact. And I think that's what Illinois State did yesterday. They got Miller and Bair in foul trouble.
Dustin Wells taking a seat on the Belmont bench. He has yet to score 0 for 1 from the field. That's it, after scoring 62 so far in the tournament. Nice pass. Miller finds Bartley for the easy 2.
Do a good job of getting at that mid-high. Miller just kind of roams around right in there, and they run everything through her. She dumped it down low, got an easy bucket.
Turnover.
Looking to try to get that again. Miller's looking, and they're double teaming, making her shoot that shot, making her make that decision from the free throw line.
Now Genevieve on the kick out. Geldner for 3. And we'll go back the other way.
There, they swung it side to side, dump it into the free throw line, and then dump it down to Bartley.
There you see the record for Bart Brooks in his 6th season. 21 seasons, 8 straight years for the Bruins basketball program.
Well, and when they get into the title game under Bart Brooks, they are 4-0 in conference.
As the head coach at Drake, she has been at Drake as an assistant starting in 2006, and after Jenny Baranchek took things over in Norman, Oklahoma.
That Jenny Baranchek brought in a system, and I think Allison has taken that system and tweaked it a little bit and dropped in a few wrinkles of her own, and this team plays it very well. It's high, up-tempo, a lot of movement, a lot of cuts, and they say it's positionless basketball. Not a lot of these players have positions. They just keep moving and running and cutting and looking for the open spot, and that's part of the reason that they're second in the country in assists, because they do a good job of finding each other.
3 is dropped down by Grace Berg. 6-point lead for the Bulldogs as we touch on 1 minute left in the opening quarter. Genevieve with the steal. Genevieve will head to the line with 59.5 remaining in this opening quarter of play.
Genevieve with the quick hands, and she was on that all.
Thoughts?
Well, got to give a lot of credit to our board. Our CEOs, our presidents and chancellors did a great job of identifying institutions who could come in understood our culture, had the same type of commitment to student-athlete excellence that we have. And the addition of UIC, Murray State, and Belmont have been fantastic, and they've come in, and the conference has been enhanced, and nobody's missed a beat. So we're extremely appreciative of them choosing to join us, and our student-athletes are having a better experience.
You know, with adding those teams to this league, we've had to adjust the schedule and not be able to play that round robin. What are your thoughts on the 20-game schedule here this season for the women?
Well, I've apologized to all of the coaches on the men and the women's side. Many of them felt that 10 would have been plenty. It's a little bit of a gauntlet to get through the Missouri Valley, and it was prior, but again, because of the quality of the institutions we've added, it's become even more challenging, and we've seen a great conference season on the women's side. You know, you're looking at it with maybe 2 or 3 weeks left in the season. 5 teams all having a chance to, you know, be the regular season champion. Just spoke to the depth of the league, and we've seen that manifest itself here in the Quad Cities during our championship.
Yeah, 5 20-win teams in the Missouri Valley Conference, as you see the graphic there, along with some of the biggies as far as NCAA conferences are concerned. We had a huge crowd yesterday. We have seen a 30% attendance growth overall just in the Missouri Valley Conference for the women's games. Your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think people understand that it's a great sport. You know, in a conference like ours where you have tremendous student athletes, it's about time in many ways. I think it's just something that was in many ways underviewed. I think our broadcast partners are understanding the value in this sport, and it's one of the reasons why I think our presidents and chancellors have made such a commitment to the success of women's basketball.
You know, going back to this setting in Quad City.
4 and 5 having to play each other, with 5 having to get the day before. It's not an easy task, and, you know, playing a conventional slate is what we should be doing. Everybody has a chance to know that they're going to be involved in the championship, and it just creates a kind of another touch point in terms of people, you know, shooting for
all-time great players in Missouri Valley Conference history, much less Illinois State. Dr. Curtis from Indiana State, and Belmont Betty was a part of it too,
yeah,
who created women's basketball in Belmont. Just a great event, and talk about the continuing the people who recognize 50 years of title.
Well, extremely appreciative of the Quad City. Dave Harrell and his group at Visit Quad Cities, Mo Hyder of Rhythm City Casino, just putting on a great event for our young ladies. You said it, Scott, the panel was outstanding. Dr. Deborah Curtis, right now currently our lone female president in the Missouri Valley Conference. Betty Wiseman and her history at Belmont University, and Kathy Boswell, an Olympian, one of the great players in the annals of Illinois State women's basketball, and we know how Illinois State has supported women's sports overall. It was just a great event for our young ladies to, one, be acknowledged for the accomplishments that they had this season on and off the court, but also be reminded of history and where they were going.
Jeff, you can stay with us here. We're going to take a break, Belmont.
You know, which again I think speaks to their support of their women's basketball program, which is fantastic. You got to go look. Greg's got his head down. Dr. Jones has his head down. He's probably trying to figure out a play to get down the Bart. But no, they've been a great addition because of people like Betty Wiseman and Dr. Jones, and it's been fantastic.
Her story really is remarkable, and what she did to do, I mean, really, literally from the ground up to build women's basketball there in Nashville for the Belmont Bruins. And she even said at the beginning, she didn't care who she played. She could play Pat Summitt's Tennessee Volunteers as many times as possible. She just want her girls to get an opportunity to play the sport.
Well, and again, you know, you have to remember that she came into the existence in this space before Title IX.
Right.
Okay, so, you know, imagine the battles that she had to wage just to get people to come and play, or get to a practice court, or all the different things now that we're starting to take for granted. Still not where it needs to be, but certainly much better when she first, you know, began her journey.
Jeff, you're so hands-on, talking not only to each member of the institutions, not only the athletic directors, but I know you talk to all the coaches as well.
The 3 institutions continually say to us that their student-athlete experience has improved, that they feel like, whether it's from a competition vantage point a promotional vantage point, the different things that we do in our conference when it comes to our SAC, with our student athlete, representation, those type of things. They all feel very good that those things are going in a direction that.
And everything, you guys, all the coaches, will reconvene at some point and talk about things moving forward. And what do you expect out of some of those meetings that you're going to hear back from the coaches?
It's interesting, Lauren, that you just said that, because I was visiting with Scott Corley, the athletic director of Belmont, before coming down to watch some of the game. In the last couple of years when we've met in the Missouri Valley, because of membership realignment, bylaws and constitution, transformation committee, all the things in the national landscape, we really haven't had the chance to do what I think we're going to do this spring, which is spend a lot of time from a philosophical vantage point about how we want to see things go forward in a way that benefits our student athletes. So kind of anxious. We're actually going to have our meetings this year in Nashville, and kind of anxious to get there and be able to talk a little bit more ideologically, a little bit more philosophically about what we need to do to be the best that we can be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to hear what the coaches have to say after going through this first year with the 12 teams, and see how you talked about it, moving the women's game forward, not just basketball, but all women's sports. See what kind of impact they have and what ideas they might have.
No question, because we understand in the Valley that, basketball will lift all boats in this tide that we're sailing on, but it's the volleyball, it's the soccer, it's our baseball. Everything in the Valley plays at an exceptional level, and we want to be sure that we're taking advantage and creating those opportunities for our student athletes.
Jeff, thank you for coming by.
Scott,
Congratulations
thank you for having me
on all the success, and another great weekend from you and your staff. I know Kirsten did an exceptional job this weekend.
Staff is fantastic.
Awesome.
Can't be more fortunate than to have this group that we have working with us.
It was fun. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Foul is called offensive on Grace Berg, so the lead.
Drake's going to be good. They've got a lot of players coming back. Northern Iowa, Southern Illinois, all these teams. I mean, the Valley's just going to continue to elevate. What are your thoughts on possibility for the Missouri Valley to get 2 teams into the NCAA tournament?
Where they are.
Really realize, but of course, when you lose someone like you mentioned, Judy Jones, that changed the whole trajectory of this basketball team, as talented as they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Coach Brooks even said, he goes, I think I was a little crazy. I went a little overboard setting up that non-conference.
But, boy, I like that approach in scheduling. I just like his tenacity, his aggressiveness. He's going to challenge his teams, and we've got a lot of programs, UNI, Drake, that they're all scheduling in that fashion, and I think that's good for our student athletes.
Yeah, I think a lot of the coaches have really started to up that non-conference schedule, and there were a few teams initially, and now we're starting to see everybody build those resumes early in November and early December.
6 seconds left on the shot clock. Belm really packing things in with that zone defense. Harvey with time running down, and the shot is blocked. Drake on a run out. Dennebeer.
Well, you have 2 of the premier shot blockers in the Valley, and Miller and Bair in the middle, and so you have to be really strong when you take that ball inside against the Bulldogs.
And a 3-second
set up, and sometimes you forget about the 3 count.
Coach Pullman looking in as the team had a lead by as many as 12, and it's dwindled down to 8. And we get some contact down low, and it looks like
Bulldogs have been very tough with these inbounds passes. They look to go to Miller because she's so long. They can loft it up there, and she can go up and get it. She just needed to finish.
Miller with a great pass and another block for Drake. Bodies flying everywhere, and they're going to say it's Bulldogs basketball.
Who has had, coming into this ball game, 71 blocks. Number 2 in the Valley. She's number 13 in the country in block shots.
7 blocks already for the Bulldogs. Bair drops a 3. Back to a double-digit lead for the Bulldogs at 35-24.
You know, over the last 6 games, Maggie Bair has started shooting it from the outside, not just going block to block. She's shooting 57% from beyond the arc over the last 6 games.
Now Bair on the inside is fouled, and she'll head to the free throw line.
You know, just keep her moving, get her the ball, keep her out of foul trouble on the defensive side of things.
Wells, much needed buckets.
It just seems like when they need a bucket, she's the one that steps up and comes through for the Bruins.
Dinnebeer on the kick out. Geldner. And we got an offensive foul called on Katie Dinnebeer. Maggie Bair.
For Bair.
See if Belmont wants to get an early shot on this possession and a potential second one. Yep, there it is. Wells rims out. And it's going to be Drake Bass. Early shot, especially with Wells taking the shot. So you potentially could have one more possession before we wrap up the 20 minutes.
Right, and you've got 2 good rebounders in Bartley and Miller on the inside. So if it comes off, you can battle Miller and Bair for that rebound and possibly give yourself a second chance opportunity.
Becker with the left hand. Wells has time. Destiny heaves it up at the buzzer. No. And the Drake Bulldogs heading into the locker room. Doubles already this weekend for Maggie Bair.
Well, and Bair is on pace to be the first player since Brianna Stewart from UConn to average at least 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block, while shooting better than 42% from 3-point on 60 or more attempts.
And they go inside again. Grace Berg gives Drake their 20th point in the paint. The other thing is 12 fast break points in the opening 20 minutes, as Drake, they'll like to push the ball too, especially with Katie Dinnebeer working things at the point.
They will put, we saw one early on where Anna Miller got out and ran the lane, and they got the run out that way. But if Dinnebeer feels like they have the numbers or the angles, she is going to push tempo. Belmont picking up man-to-man, trying to get that high screen for Dinnebeer.
Bair with the head fake. Little drive, little strong rebound, and the putback by Anna Miller.
Gave that little ball fake, got the defense out of position, a little too strong off the glass, but weak side boards for Anna Miller, crashing hard.
Tessa Miller hits her first mid-range jumper.
That's where Miller is so good. She's just been there all weekend long, hanging around that free throw line. Hits that shot at a pretty high rate.
Bair with a difficult shot there. Terrific defense by Miller. And now Destiny Wells.
Bulldogs have not really allowed her to turn the corner and get downhill.
Pack things in with that zone defense to just over a half a play now. Wells hits the three, or third of the afternoon, with time winding down on the shot clock.
I just like the fact that she does not panic. She looked at Bartley, says, give me a screen, I'm going to knock down to three, but then Maggie Bair comes back down, toes it, lies it up, drains it.
Well, as Laura mentioned at the top of the show, 10 threes made by Drake yesterday in their convincing win over top seed Illinois State. They have 4 after that three was made by Maggie Bair. Bartley against Bair. Time winding down, and the foul's going to be on Anna Miller. And for Miller, that is...
A couple of dribbles to her right, pulls up, knocks down the jumper, and then Bair trailing on the play, stays at the top of the key to get the answer.
Miller with a head fake.
Really nice. It was a great entry pass into Miller. Gave the head fake and got Bair out of position.
8-point performance up to this point for Tessa after only 2 and fouling out in the semifinals last night against Northern Iowa.
She's capable of having a big game. She's got 3 double-doubles on the season.
On Friday, Drake didn't get any bench help at all. Yesterday, much more bench help thanks to part and parcel of Courtney Becker. She does it again here on Championship Sunday.
Yeah, you know, they really struggled in that quarterfinal game because they did not get much bench production. But yesterday, the bench was huge and helped them in that win against Illinois State. And here today, coming up big. Bulldogs work the ball around. They work it inside, swing it back out. Get the big bucket from Dennebeer. And Coach Bart Brooks says, we've got to talk about some things.
Allison Pullman against Belmont. One of the 3 new members of the Valley. 51-33 as we're near the midway mark of this third quarter. Drake shot over 50% in the opening half, and they've gone 5 of 7, Laura, to begin things in this third quarter of play.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason you need the timeout to talk about some things and get the team refocused and settled back in. And that's who you go to try to get your team back on track. Destiny Wells is going to need a couple of other teammates to step up and help her down the stretch here.
Dennebeer forced up a 3, and we'll go back the other way for Belmont.
You know, that Bulldogs offense is high-paced, high-tempo. You don't want to start forcing some things. You want to maybe run through that offense another few rotations before you start taking shots like that. Boy, every time Wells tries to make that move inside, 1 or 2 players right there to shut her down. And I was just thinking, you know, a player that needs to step up, Kylan McGuff, and she did.
Bair tries to get the answer. That's one of the few times where Drake hasn't had an answer after a 3 make by Belmont. McGuff from both the left and now the right side. And Allison Pullman wants to slow her down right now as the lead dwindles down to 10 at 51. So much concentration with Bair and Berg as the 2-headed monster, if you will, scoring-wise for Drake. But Dennebeer's been right there with those 2 young ladies all weekend long. Great cut to the glass by Becker.
That's a nice set play. 2 teammates on the same page. You look at one another, you give the jab step one way, and then you cut back door, and Dennebeer feeds her with a pinpoint pass.
McGuff, 3 in a row.
Now McGuff is starting to heat up. Her dad is probably watching this ball game. He's the head coach at Ohio State.
On Miller. Anna Miller completes the 3-point play. And the 10-point lead is back up to 14 for the Bulldogs. 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
We've seen that so often in this tournament where coaches know they need to make that timeout, take that timeout to slow the momentum for the opponent. Calls it, and the Bulldogs are able to answer.
Wall. McGuff. He's hot right now.
She was trying to look. She was trying to angle to get something, looking for a screen so she could get open.
And a travel. 7 turnovers this afternoon for the Bruins.
They really just concentrated on Wells, kept pushing her back and pushing her back. She was trying to dump it inside, but the long arms of the defense for the Bulldogs didn't give her a clear look.
Maggie Bair with the left hand.
That's been the Bulldogs' bread and butter all season, that high-low action for the Bulldogs, and it could be anybody. It could be any combination. It doesn't have to be Miller and Bair or Berg and Bair. It can be anybody working that high-low.
McGuff. Rebound taken by Miller, and the timeout is taken by Bart Brooks. So the Bruins retain. Starts with SportsCenter at 6 p.m. Eastern and goes all the way to bracketology field of 136, breaking down both the men's and women's brackets. Again, that's tonight. Our first year in the Valley. They are the 2 seed, co-champs of the regular season, taking on the 4 seed Drake Bulldogs.
And they're no stranger to being in a title game. They have won 4 Ohio Valley.
McGuff misses both free throws. McGuff 0 for 4 from the free throw line, but she's hit 3 threes in this third quarter. Hawthorne, the freshman, gets on the scoreboard.
All season long, the Bulldogs have been trying to get Ava Hawthorne more and more minutes, backing up Katie Dennebeer.
Destiny Wells, step back, just short. Rebound taken by Drake as Hawthorne gives Dennebeer a breather. Berg trying to fight off Bartley. Good defense, and here come the Bruins.
Really good defense by Bartley. Just stayed right with her. Berg tried to clear some space, and Bartley got a little bit of help backside on the defense, and they picked Berg's pocket.
Miller in the paint, finds Wells. Wells, hits the 3.
Even when you think she's covered, you have the defense out, they come out with high hands. You think you've got her covered, and you don't want to give up that baseline drive, so you have to be a little cautious. She just shoots it right over the top.
Becker with the kick out. Geldner.
They sat, they waited, they ran the play inside out to Geldner, who's been quiet here.
Wells tries the answer and does at the buzzer. Destiny Wells with a huge 3. And we have played 30 minutes here on Championship Sunday. Hoops in the Heartland in the quads.
They've really kept her on the perimeter. But I think you're going to see a steady diet of Wells with the ball in her hands and watching her make moves.
It's now 36 free throws in a row for the sophomore from West Des Moines. Cheeseman. Bartley posting up against Bair. Bartley with the left hand. And the lead is down to 16.
Bartley doing a good job of just backing down Bair. Just kept that dribble alive, a little step in and back over the right shoulder.
What a shot by Berg. This is what makes it so difficult to defend Drake. Berg just hit a 3, and now a dribble drive and hits a reverse lay-in.
And a lot of Drake's drives are coming from the right side of the floor. They're getting set up. They're getting them that screen high and letting them drive to the left side.
Berg gets the rebound. Trying to find Berg inside. Schoenwald will pick up the foul.
On the outside, so you have to go out there and you have to get a hand up. You have to respect that outside shooting ability. If you get too close, she's got the speed to get by you.
Denevere posting up and hits the floor hard, but looks like she's going to. AD and the Lakers hosting Julius Randle and the Knicks. Coverage tips at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. The Knicks are 5th in the East and Lakers 9th in the West, with just 4 weeks left in the regular season. Lakers, Knicks, NBA Sunday on ESPN. Oh, Miller wide open. She's been trying to get the block, but Miller was just adamant on getting those 2 points.
Yeah, she stayed right with it, but you gotta like what Denevere did. She pushed tempo, she got it down there, saw that nothing was happening, kicked it back out, and they rotated it back around, went high-low action.
Guff needs some help.
Got herself too far under. She wanted to try to create for herself.
For Bart Brooks.
Gonna get them a quick break before the next media timeout. So get them a little extra minute or so of rest and hoping that they can turn it into an extra gear for the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Becker from deep. Bair with the offensive rebound.
That was Bair's first offensive rebound. All of her rebounds have come on the defensive side, and the Bulldogs are one of the top defensive rebounding teams in the country.
Berg's going to pick up the foul. And it's not just Dusty dribble drive being penetrated in the paint by the Bruins offense.
No, they're really working hard to keep them in front, willing to give up that shot. More often than not, she's going to knock it down. And they're going to need to start looking for that. They're going to have to find McGuff. They're going to have to try to find Schoenwald. They're going to have to try to cash in. That's a mistake by the Bulldogs. And Belmont needs a few more of those. They need to take advantage of this one.
Wells can't get it to fall again, and that was last touched by Miller. Quick hands by Harvey. Also keep in mind, looking at the foul situation, Schoenwald has 3, as does Tessa Miller.
Belmont's going to have to continue with that full court pressure, and Denevere was lucky to get through that on that first time they saw the full court.
Bulldogs finding the range from distance in this second half. McGuff can't answer. One and done on the possession.
You know, I don't mind that shot, though, from McGuff. I mean, you got to get some points, and if you have the open look, she's knocked down some here in the second half. Go ahead and shoot it, but you got to crash the boards.
Good steal by McGuff. And she'll head to the line with 4. McGuff hits the first 2 free throws for Belmont today. 2 of 6.
Yeah, they have not gotten there at all.
Full court pressure broken. And there's Miller, the scholar athlete of the game, on cue.
They moved the ball through the full court pressure with passes, got it over the top, and then filling the lanes.
Wells, tough shot. Bair is there. Hits the deck. And Drake over 65% in this second half.
You just wonder, after the performance they had yesterday and the way they shot the basketball, you wonder, okay, how long can they keep that up? Because you figure shooting percentages will catch up with players and with teams, but one of those 16, now 17 attempts. She has been to the line the most, 14 times for the Bulldogs.
Miller kicks it out. Harvey. Miller, blocked by Bair. Fourth block for Maggie. Harvey with the quick hands, battling with Dinnebeer. Bird with some help.
Boy, Harvey with quick hands, but Grace Berg right there on the spot to corral the loose ball. Belmont was taking a little bit more time than you would like to see them take on the offensive end. They've got to score quickly and efficiently. And Drake can afford to just take their time, work their offense.
Bair with 1 second left on the shot clock, and they've started this game out hot, and they have never really let up. He had a 28-24 score. That was probably the closest Belmont ever came. And then it was an 11-2 run to finish the first half to extend the Drake lead.
Yeah, that's when we talked about the way the pace of the game was going, and you say you look up and it's still a very close game. You never can count Belmont out. And then the Bulldogs went on that big run to have that big lead at halftime.
You know, it was interesting that they win the quarterfinals, Drake does, the 4th seed against 5th seed Lady Bears, two of the most winningest women's basketball programs in Valley history. And it was a 3-point game. I mean, that was a dogfight. That was the only win Drake has had this season by single digits.
I know, that's correct. I was just looking at the notes here, and 20 of 21 games of their wins have come by 12 points or more, with the exception being that Missouri State game.
Wells from nearly half court. And Destiny is cruising into near uncharted territory, as she almost has 100 points on the weekend.
Well, she's put on a performance here in her first Missouri Valley Conference tournament. Not been able to get inside and draw the contact and get to the free throw line. And Wells is really good at doing that. When she is off the bounce, she can draw the fouls.
91 points this weekend for this lady, and make it 93. The record is 103 points scored in a Missouri Valley Conference tournament weekend. That was back in 2000. Some lady by the name of Jackie Stiles.
I think there's a trophy named after her.
There is. The best of the best ever. Dinnebeer. Another assist to Grace Bird.
And it just does not stop. They just continue to move and cut backdoor. And Dinnebeer now with 9 assists.
Make it 94 on the weekend for Destiny Wells, as Bart Brooks burns his last timeout. And the Bulldogs, well, they smell it.